And you'll do a quick mic check of my levels.
Correct. So when it does come live, I'm going to mute my mic. I'll let you know when it's live. I'll mute the mic, and you can say hello. How do you do?
Yeah, and do a bit of an intro, and then when you come back into the chat, I just assume you'll let me know what I need to turn up or turn down.
Exactly.
Sounds good.
All right. So welcome guys to the stream. We're just going to get the comms all leveled out. So Snoopy's going to do a bit of an introduction for you, and we'll kick it off.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final round of the development series for Season 3. We're going to be live streaming Lobby A for you tonight, and we have easily the top 12 drivers, I believe, from the development series in this lobby tonight. So they will all be competing for obviously the points that will add to their final scores to wrap up the season. And there's a couple of little things at stake from first all the way through to fifth is looking quite tight. So yeah, should be a good one tonight.
Comms all sound very good. So welcome to the commentary box, Snoopy.
Thank you, thank you. Happy to be here.
Looking
Uh,
forward to the hour-long race here. Not a short one.
yeah, we've got a bit of a different one tonight. So usually ours is 45 minutes set by lap times, but tonight we're doing an hour as it's the season finale. So yeah, it'll make things a little bit more challenging for our drivers, but these are the top end of the development series drivers for season 3, so they should be more than capable of holding their own.
Exactly. All right. So I guess right now we will kick off the qualifying, which is going to be a out lap and one hot lap for anybody that's unaware. The guys have been instructed on the debrief, and it's going to be quite interesting as the countdown finishes, and I'll jump into spectator mode.
Yep, and I will join you there as well. Long lap here at Le Mans. I would argue that qualifying is only a small part of the equation tonight. It's a very long track. It's a very long race. Qualifying helps, but I don't think if you've necessarily secured pole, you will be the first one to cross the line at the end of the race. But we'll see how we go.
So, in contrast to the pro race, what are we looking at here in regards to weather?
So as the development series has around 20 to 28 drivers on a weekly basis, we have a lobby limitation of 16 drivers or 16 cars per track. So obviously we'd love to fit them all on the one track, but we can't. So what we do to combat this is what we call equal conditions. So that means we set the time of day and we set the variable weather to equal. So you'll see that on the in-game screen, if you have the data up, that there's no wind direction. We've got it set to early morning, so the weather should stay fixed. It's looking like it's a bit cloudy over here at Le Mans morning in the game, but evening where we're live streaming tonight. So should be a fairly straightforward one, no rain to contend with.
The guys seem to be taking their time to get around the track. So they do have a total of 10 minutes to complete qualifying. However, the qualifying is set up so that when they do finish and exit to pits, we should have a pretty quick countdown. So hopefully the guys are realising that. But they get around the track as quick as possible, because we do have quite a big gap. There's no benefit for these guys to hang back and wait for weather to improve, because it just won't. So I'm not 100% sure why so many people actually waited so long. seems a bit counterproductive, but we are the development series, so you know, some of the guys are still trying to work out, I guess, pros and cons of doing such a strategy for qualifying.
Yeah, I think there could be a bit of uncertainty throughout the drivers of like, oh, do you go ahead of me or do I go ahead of you? Are we going to
Yeah.
slipstream each other? As we look in the middle section between the two chicanes, and we've got a very slow pack going along between Josh, Speed Racer, Pitmaster, and Tex. I think potentially some of them are following the courtesy rule of not overtaking on an outlap, but yeah, I mean, they should get their skates on. There should be enough time for them to all get around, right? Surely, right?
Yes, the only thing I'm concerned about is that when the timer does run out for them, that 10-minute timer runs out, they only have a short continuation time to complete. And we've done that purposefully so that we don't, I guess, overrun the qualifying to be a substantial amount of time of waiting around, especially for the guys that are going to be finishing, as what we can already see, a minute ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, exactly right. I think everyone's just trying to make sure that they give themselves plenty of room. Obviously not to catch up to the driver in front of them over the course of a 4-minute lap. So as long as they all pass the start-finish line by around the 6-minute mark of in-game qualifying time, they should be fine. It's currently sitting at about 3 minutes and 50 seconds, so they've got about 2 minutes to get themselves over to the line.
If you are watching along, we do have 5 viewers at the moment. Please leave a like and please feel free to comment through the stream. We will engage with you guys. So happy to hear your thoughts and answer some questions as we go along.
Oh, good. We might jump on board with DC, who's actually leading the charge out the front here.
So
First one to
his
start
hot
the
lap.
qualifying. Yep, that's right.
So the Genesis is the car. This is actually the team that I'm driving for. For anybody watching who doesn't know, I have done a bit of practice last night with Snoop. Funnily enough, not actually with my team. We did see quite a big difference in regards to straight line speed difference from our two cars. The Genesis does have some long legs. It is heavy out of the corners, however, it really makes up for it on these long straights. So these guys should be doing some pretty quick times with these larger cars.
It'll be interesting because it's such a long lap time. It'll all come down to when they start dripping through across the line and there's a big enough gap between everyone, so we shouldn't have too much trouble reading their lap times, as I'm just riding along at the back just for my insanity to check that everyone's crossed the line. It looks like the last driver over the line to start that hot lap is AU Brabo, and he's passed it within that 6-minute time frame, so he should be able to make it all the way to the end. So everyone should, barring any major incidences, be able to set a qualifying time.
Unfortunately, as you were going through the back of the pack, we've got Raz, second on the track at the moment, has picked up a 1-second penalty.
Yeah, penalties for track limits are really harsh on this one here. As we flick through the group here, Daywalker's got a half-second penalty. M Sports 180's got a 1.5-second time penalty. Everyone else seems okay, but commentator's curse, so we shall stay quiet about it for now.
M Sports has just extended that to 2 seconds, running a bit wide on one of those chicanes there. I'm going to guess everybody's picked up this penalty coming onto the, what do you call the Muson Straight?
Musan Straight, yeah. You can either cut it, the corner too tight, or you can run wide. Both of those will give you a penalty, but it's also the two chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight, so the game's a little bit funny in terms of not being quite clear on where those track limits are, whether it's the white line of the edge of the track or whether it's the curb. It seems to have a bit of a mind of its own, and it even picks up a lot of the the best of the pro drivers from time to time, so no one should be too disheartened if they do find themselves in a similar situation.
Yes, that's right. Just got to keep on going. It is a long lap, so anything can happen. Some of these people will be serving their penalty on the straight. Unfortunately, I think serving the penalty might cost you more time than actually taking the 1 second penalty or the penalty at the back end of the track at the finish line.
What's
Unless you get a
crucial?
half second.
Exactly, yeah. What's crucial here is that you don't pick up a penalty after the penalty zone, because that essentially null and voids your entire lap time. So I'm just jumping on board here with DC. He seems to be navigating the final chicanes very carefully at the moment. This looks like a really good lap time from DC. As he crosses the line, a 3:57.8. That is a great lap time to put your name on the board there.
I think that time is going to be tough to beat for these guys, considering we're just watching the guys do some practice prior to qualifying, and after a number of laps, this is roughly the time that was setting.
So you can see that Raz just feels the impact of that penalty as he drops behind Excited Dugong and Ting, or P_944S2. Next driver to pass the line will be Daywalker, which I believe Daywalker had a penalty as well, so he may be a bit down on his lap time as well compared to DC up the top there.
Yes, there's going to be a 4 minute plus time. 4:04.
Puts him into 4th position. M Sports is coming through now. He also had a penalty, so that should put him down there as well.
4:03.
4th again. Big Rig coming through. Makes it a 1-2 for the big DCs, that team, holding the front podium. But can Josh do anything about it? Can Josh split him down the middle?
Josh has been showing, yes, he's been showing great pace in practice and gets that Porsche, which is great effort on his behalf to do a time like that.
And even Pitmaster wedges himself in between the big DCs, along with Speed Racer as well. So Big Rig went from a provisional P2 to now 6th, which isn't too bad, right in the middle. It's a long race, so anything can happen.
Bravo coming across for Viva Racing in one of the best liveries, that's in my opinion, for a 4:06. And that's everybody finished. So hopefully now we will see a short countdown to the end.
Yep, shouldn't be too long now.
Where we can start the race.
We'll do a quick check over the qualifying results once they do pull them up.
So I'm looking at the just back in the lobby, and we can see in order now without the results. And Aussie Tex, who I didn't see cross the line, he's in 2nd.
Yes, he is actually.
So the McLaren, so we've got 3 different car types on the podium here for qualifying, which is pretty good to see, considering we do have a number of Porsches in the development series. And qualifying is done already. We timed that perfectly. Snoop Day's fantastic.
We might have to pray and hope that the game ticks itself over.
Still got a black screen here, so we just wait. Wait it out.
Yes, as well. The beauty of the game causes some technical issues. I may just quickly screen. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, got it.
We've lost DC, so that's what happened there.
All right, let's get a snapshot of the results, and we'll quickly change the settings of the race.
Yeah, no worries. While you make those adjustments, I can read out the results. They don't need to be on screen. I can just call up the numbers on my end. So, we'll just check that DC's coming back into the room. He is. So I'll leave that to you, Anthony, while I quickly run through the results. So, our qualifying results. We have Rubber Ducky, or DC as we refer to him, with a 357.8, followed by Aussie Tex, 0.8 seconds behind him. And then Josh rounds out the podium for the qualifying with a 358.942. So both with all three drivers within 1.1 seconds of each other. Then in fourth it goes Pitmaster, followed by Speed Racer, Big Rig, Excited Dugong, Ting Thing, and then we have M Sports 180 in ninth, Daywalker in 10th, Razmaz in 11th, and AU Bravo GT in 12th position. But, like we said, it's a long race, qualifying isn't everything. So we will have to just wait and see what happens.
We do have a few people fighting for some positions in the leaderboard, which is going to be quite exciting. Even on for the podium. So
yes, it is very interesting tonight. We've got in terms of our championship standings, we have DC leading the charge on 197 points, followed by Speed Racer in second on 185 points, and then Josh in third on 182 points, which we'll refer back to during the course of the live stream in terms of those live tracking. But let's get this grid set, shall we, for the race?
I've got DC, Aussie Tex, Josh, Pity,
Speed Racer,
yep,
Big Rig,
biggest of the rigs.
Then we've got Dugong, then P_9442, or S2, sorry.
Yep.
M Sports 180.
Yep.
Daywalker. Razmaz.
Yes, and Super
And then Bravo.
Just want to double check that looks legit. Rubber Ducky, Ostex. So Big Rig was behind Speed Racer, wasn't he? And then Excited Dugong after that.
Yes, I'll double check that again. I'll just read it out from the top for you, just
sure,
one final sense check. We've got Rubber Ducky, Aussie Tex, Josh, Pitmaster, Speed Racer, Big Rig, Dugong, P_944, M Sports 180, Daywalker, Razmaz, and AU Bravo.
Perfect. We are good to go.
Cool. I'll just do a quick check on the starting grid or in the pits. It seems like we've got a mixture of compounds, so everyone's selected their tyres.
Yep.
You are good to go, race director.
Okay, guys. Good luck, everybody. Let's go. Starting the race. And we'll wait for this countdown to happen and quickly jump in so we can get the first two turns of excitement.
It's an interesting start at Le Mans. It sometimes might not be the best to be starting right at the front just because of such a long run to the first turn. People can catch your toe in your slipstream. Then it's into a quick left and right sort of chicane style set of corners, so we'll have to see how they fare as they get rolling.
So what we might do is watch just back here, probably watch Josh come through for the start so we can just get a nice good view of the leaders coming through. Josh currently sitting in third place in the championship.
Had a couple of drivers caught out by the chicane. Unfortunately, the rolling start does roll through that little chicane before the main straight, but they'll all catch up, I'm sure.
Aussie Tex gets a bit loose coming through there. Josh takes the opportunity to put the car through and promotes himself to second position.
very nice. It's crucial for everyone on this first lap to make sure that they're within at least 7/10 of the driver in front, ideally, to get that slipstream benefit and to avoid getting any penalties. It'll go a long way as Tex gets a really good run onto the Mulsanne straight. He makes his intentions very clear. He's battling for position, goes up the inside and slots in front of Josh.
So what we have here is he's lost a place early on. He wants to fight for it to get it back early as possible, so he's going to be quite aggressive. Just let Josh know that if they're going to work together, he wants to be the one in the front. It doesn't look like anyone has picked up any penalties, but we've got M Sport here under attack here from Dave Walker, and that was tight.
That was tight.
9144.
Now we start to see the penalties coming through as Pinmaster picks up a half-second penalty, probably for the first chicane on the Mulsanne straight, but only half a second. He will be able to claw that back slowly but surely.
So just who we got struggling at the back? We've missed it. Brabo has obviously had an incident causing him to be 15 seconds behind Razmaz, so he's out of the slip. He needs to now just focus on lapping consistently to catch back up to the rest of the grid, because he's at an extreme disadvantage if these other cars start pushing themselves along using the slip. He'll be losing a couple of seconds easily down the straight.
Yeah, and it doesn't appear that many of them are showing signs of cooperation in terms of bump drafting, which is both a good thing to see and could be a negative thing to see as well.
Dave Walker, sorry to cut you off, Dave Walker has spun it around and it looked like he's ran a bit wide. I'm not sure if it was assisted in any way, but has lost a huge amount of time. Brabo has caught back up to him. Maybe these two can work together. Brabo amazingly is still 5 seconds behind Dave Walker.
There appears to be quite an interesting battle up the front here for P1. DC really hasn't pulled away here. Tex is right on him. He actually had the opportunity to pass him just before coming into Indianapolis, I believe is the name of the corner, but thought better of it and lifted off. And yeah, Josh is waiting not too far behind him.
So Josh might be playing a bit smart here, let these guys just duke it out and keep his distance just enough to stay in the slipstream and get pulled along. I think the Porsche really does need to use some of that suck to get an advantage here.
As they go side by side through the curves.
Although Josh has been doing some pretty quick lap times unassisted, so I think it's going to be DC and Josh setting the fast lap times. As soon as Josh gets comfortable in that car, he might start putting down some tidier corners. Beautiful work through those final chicanes there.
And I think this is where we start to see the difference in compound coming into effect. So we have the mandatory tyre tonight being the medium compound tyre. Seems to be a bit of a mixed bag in terms of who's using it at the start. It seems a good majority are, but Josh, for example, is running the soft, so it makes absolute sense as to why he's absolutely clawing away at DC. Tex has dropped off the back a bit on the medium tyres. He's also picked up half a second
he
penalty.
Picked up on the final chicane just before the start-finish line, running a bit wide. Yep. So I'm just tuning in on Speed Racer here in another lovely livery here, just to see if Big Rig is within range. Looks like he's just out of the slip, but we'll probably see this close in with these legs on this Genesis. Already closing that door. And it will happen very quick as well, like a slingshot.
Tex's penalty count is now up to 1 second for this lap. It's going to be important for him to just let that rest. Take a couple of deep breaths after this lap and get back at it again, because a second isn't much in a long race like this. He's definitely got the pace to win it tonight. I think the McLaren's a very strong car around here.
Yes. So Josh has actually taken first place, which we've missed where that's happened, and has made quite a bit of a gap there. And DC is now under attack from the McLaren. So if DC plays smart here, he'll just let that happen, follow along, maybe even push Tex along now would be a very smart move to get back onto the tail of Josh, because Aussie Tex is going to have to serve his penalty, and Rubber Duck will go straight through.
So unfortunately, while we were keeping up with the latest race developments, we did have a technical DNF in the name of Dugong.
Right.
He was having some... as Big Rig goes a bit deep into the final turn coming out of the chicane, but he manages to hold it up. Good job. Sorry, back to my point. Dugong passes on his regards. Said he had to do the honourable thing and exit as his internet was way too jumpy, so he apologised for the inconvenience, but decided to retire from the race, which was probably the right call.
Very unfortunate. Bravo just seems to be having quite a lot of difficulty on this track. He's lost a lot of time to Dale Walker. They were within 5 seconds after both of them had incidences. I'm not sure if he's put in any practice on the track. He's just maybe unfamiliar.
Now Josh has just benefited massively from the fact that Tex and DC behind him both had 1 second penalties to serve. So now the gap between Josh and P1 and Tex and P2, not T2, is now 3.3 seconds.
Speed Race relatively quiet race on a commentary perspective at the moment. He's actually fighting for the championship with Rubber Ducky, DC. So he's currently sitting back in 5th place. So it doesn't look like he's at the front or any kind of attacking range, but it is early days. So his strategy might be a bit different from the other guys. Wonder if he's on the mediums.
I can confirm Speed Racer is running the medium compound tyre. So far he's been keeping a bit of a clean race, maybe just trying to avoid those penalties and biding his time. But yeah, as you were sort of saying, there's a couple of drivers in contention here, which we might do a little bit of a recap on as they all hit the Mulsanne straight, just so we don't miss any action. Josh is still steaming away without too much trouble. He does have a half-second penalty to his name, so we need to pull that time a little bit further. But interestingly, we have Pitmaster all over the back of DC, admittedly with a half-second penalty as well, but I think maybe there's something about this BMW at Le Mans that just seems to work, because he's on the mediums as well, and the Genesis just seems to be struggling a little bit.
Yeah, so with the Genesis, it is quite a very heavy car with what feels like a lot of torque when you're in mid corner. Even though the car does seem to bog down and not have any pace coming out the corner, it's a very strange feeling. So I'm not sure the benefits, the pros and cons of the BMW in comparison to the Genesis. I know that the BMW throughout the season has been the car rivalry for me, being a driver of a Genesis and fighting for place against a BMW in the Pro Series. With the physics update, I'm not sure what's adjusted to make either car better or worse, but it just seems that what we're seeing here with DC is that the car's been overdriven. It really needs to be driven a bit more. You know, he'll be shifting early. He won't be using the entire rev range, but I think he might be just going into those corners and braking a bit late. Being a heavy car, he's having to stand on the brakes and struggle out of those corners.
Yeah,
so he probably just needs to take a breath, like you were saying earlier, and just reset. As we see in the background, big rig shoots straight off the corner. That's what I was saying. It's a big, heavy car. It's hard to pull up, and I think the guys are just overdriving it, and just it's not stopping.
I think that's twice in 2 laps for Big Rig. He also ran very, very deep coming off the Mulsanne straight last lap and almost took out Pitmaster at the same time. Fortunately, they didn't make too much contact. But yeah, maybe just that element of overdriving is coming into an effect there.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it is to me. And I will say, from when we did practice last night, even though our weather conditions were a bit different from these guys here, we were having, I was noticing that with the cooler air or the cooler track temperatures and trying to balance the brakes towards the rear to save the fronts, the car was trying to skid the rear tyres and step out, and the rear was trying to pass the front. So, and that was a result of really trying to brake as late as possible. So I think these guys are better off, especially at the first half of this track, is to be braking earlier, coasting maybe a little bit more than they typically would during qualifying, and accelerate out to maximise the legs down the straight, and just save the tyres.
Yeah, tyres are a big factor now with the new physics update in this game. It's not like they can be run the way that they used to. A little bit of tyre saving goes a long way now. We might just do a quick little recap on where everyone's at the moment. So we're still in P1. We have Josh, 3 seconds clear of Tex. He did have to serve a half-second penalty that lap. So that's why that gap has come down a little bit, but it looks like Tex may have just had a little bit of moment, because that gap between them has jumped by 1 second in one corner, so maybe he got a bit squirrely coming out of the chicane. But we've got Tex in position 2, then we've got Pitmaster in position 3 with DC not too far behind him. It's crucial for DC in 4th position here to make sure he's within at least 1 second of Pitmaster coming onto the Mulsanne straight, which I don't think he is, unfortunately.
No, he hasn't done it. He's come out there and he's had a bad exit.
So he's going to lose that slipstream benefit. And interestingly, in P5 is Speed Racer. Now, Speed Racer is second in the championship behind DC. He's only 12 points behind him. So mathematically, it is possible for Speed Racer to take the outright victory here, but what that would mean is he would need to finish first, have the fastest lap, and DC has to finish 8th, I think it is from memory. So a lot of factors need to fall into place for that to happen, but we won't write anything off there.
Yep, and just so anybody spectating, you are only seeing 11 cars on the track in this lobby. However, there is another lobby racing concurrently with this race, and those times will be merged. So this is the top half of the leaderboard versus the bottom half of the leaderboard. So if you have a poor performance here, you still are racing against the other lobby, so they have to keep that in mind as well throughout the race, that they might be trying to fight each other because they feel like they've got some time from the car behind them, but they might not understand that in the other lobby that someone's just happy days, just doing laps and having no issues with anybody else.
Speaking of happy days and doing laps, AU Brabo down at the back there, he is a long way off the rest of the lobby. But as long as he's setting in consistent lap times, they are a lot slower compared to the mix. He's doing about 4-minute 20s. But
I'm going to check what tyre he's running at the moment. I'm very interested to see.
He is on the medium tyre, but
right.
Yeah, again, there's that benefit of merging the lobby times. So yeah, just be interested to see where he ends up as a result of that. Oh, DC has a big moment behind Pitmaster. He holds on to it, but yeah, I think DC is struggling, yeah.
So hopefully he just tries to settle in and not overdrive the car here.
Everything is just really spacing out at the moment. This is what we sort of expect towards that quarter of an hour mark through the race. All the different strategies are being run, different tyres. Where it all sort of come together is around that lap 7, lap 8 when people start to pit and change compounds. So the goal is ultimately for the soft compound runners to get away as quickly as possible, and the goal for the medium compound drivers would be just to hold on as best as they can, because the race will come to them in the latter stint when they jump over to the softer compound tyres.
So the guys running the medium tyres, there's no compulsory pit. They can drive those tyres to the end. Is that right?
Absolutely, but they would have to do a manic amount of fuel saving, and just judging by the fuel rates of all the cars that I can see on track at the moment, a lot of them are around that 50 to 60% of fuel left point. So at lap 4, going on to lap 5, they wouldn't make it at this stage, not without some intense fuel saving. However, that is a very interesting conversation point you've just brought up, Anthony, because I think we've identified why AU Brabo is so off the pace. He is fuel saving. I think he's going to go for a no stop.
He's going to go for the no stop. I think that's what he's going to be doing. He has such a large gap, though. I don't think the guys will be in the pits for 50 seconds. I can't remember or recall what the pit time deficit is, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty fast refuel rate, so it's not going to be beneficial for him to be fuel saving like he is.
Yeah, it is a very quick yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is a very quick refuel rate at 8 litres per second. Pit transit time is about 34 seconds, so you add tyres on top of that, maybe another 5 seconds, making it 39, and then probably another 20 seconds for fuel, so about a minute, and he's already a minute 40 off Josh in P1, so yeah, may not be the best strat, but then again, he's just done his personal best lap, which was 6 seconds faster than his previous lap, so he could be chipping away and getting into the groove a bit more, but up front, Josh is still leading the way. Tex has got a 2-second time penalty. He'll be spewing at that.
Pitmaster has just set a purple sector and has gapped DC again.
I can't wait for the end of this race because the people on the faster compound tyres aren't getting away as far as they would like.
Yes, I agree.
And you've got medium compound drivers setting purple sectors.
Yeah.
Ooh. I think the softs are getting to that point where they're going to hit that crossover period where they start to get a bit nasty to drive on, start to lose their grip. So yeah, it's really hard to say whether the soft tyre is the right tyre to be on at the end of the race, because those last couple of laps are going to hurt.
We're about to see Aussie Tech serve a 2-second penalty for Pitmaster licking his lips to close that gap even more. So I think we might even see Pitmaster be on top of Aussie Techs after this penalty is served, and they're into the first corner after the penalty line.
He should be able to get him here.
Aussie Techs, well done, serving his penalty off the racing line, which is part of the racing brief. And through goes Pitmaster into second place. Well done. Sensational drive so far. Hopefully he can keep it up. And Josh is just sailing away. He is another purple sector, Pitmaster. Josh is sailing away. He's going to see Pitmaster come through and take away that fastest lap. Mm-hmm. If Josh wants to get that extra point, he's going to really have to try and push here. So these guys might even try to step up a bit here with the car getting lighter. But keep in mind the tyres will be getting a bit more worn, so it'll be interesting to see. So Josh will know after Pitmaster crosses the start-finish line here that Pitmaster is coming. So he'll be watching that split time like a hawk.
Pitmaster sets a 358.9 on medium compound tyres and takes the fastest lap away from Josh.
There you go.
Now, I would be worried if I saw that. I would be looking at my tyres, because right now Josh is running on about, I would say maybe 60 to 50% tread left on all four corners of the car. And if I saw that coming behind me, admittedly I wouldn't know if I was in his position what other drivers are on in terms of tyres, but you would know that Pitmaster has definitely got some pace about him at the moment, especially considering he's come through, I think it
So
was
Josh has
P4.
returned serve to set a fastest sector 1.
Maybe there's still some life in those tyres left.
Well, the car's getting lighter. There's less punishment on those tyres. I think he's just got to really balance the chicanes and keep the top speed down the Mulholland Straight. So
He won't have to work too hard to keep that gap nice and clear in front of him, because Pitmaster has a 1 second penalty to his name, so that'll just add to the deficit between them.
okay, so Pitmaster's getting a bit greedy by the looks of it. He has a 1.7 second gap to Aussie Text, 1.8 second gap, which he's going to have to extend before he gets to the penalty line. Otherwise, it's just going to be a repeat, a switch back.
Yeah, exactly what happened last lap.
Yes. It seems like Rubber Duck has calmed down and he's starting to drive the car appropriately. His times aren't super quick. I'm not sure what tyre he's on. Not sure if you've seen what tyres he's running.
He's on the medium compound tyre.
Right, okay, so he's on the medium compound tyre, Pitmaster's on the medium compound tyre. Those cars should be quite similar in regards to top end speed. So theoretically we should be seeing sub 4 minute lap times. I think he's just got to really focus on stringing those sectors together.
Now, it's going to be interesting when Pitmaster serves his penalty, because he's just within, but also just outside that range of Tex catching him. Because yes, it's a 1 second time penalty, but it's also the momentum you lose, which adds to that as well. So I think they're going to be kind of close to one another heading into the, if I'm not mistaken, the Porsche curves of that section. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. He does run a bit deep and loses a lot of that time though. So I think Tex might have a little bit of an easier run around him than we originally thought.
I think Tex knows exactly what the task is here, and he's pushing to try and close that gap. And he's already made the move to try and get around him, and does it quite easily.
Does that quite quickly, yes. Might jump on board to Razmaz and Big Rig, who are in a little bit of a battle themselves. So Razmaz is on the racing soft, whereas Big Rig is on the racing medium tyres. So you'd imagine Big Rig would be able to get the job done later in this race when he switches to the soft compound tyre, but doing a really nice job to hold on to a soft compound runner. Probably want to be a little bit further down the road, I would imagine, after that race win last week in Monza. But again, it's a long race, a lot of penalties people are getting. So it could go anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think the boys in Genesis have found their groove. Hopefully Big Rig is pulling that Genesis up at the end of the Mulholland Straight. So these guys here in 7th, 8th are 30 seconds off the leader. So Josh has really done a great job at making those softs work in his favour for the majority of the pack. But the anomaly here is Pitmaster on the medium tyre sitting in 3rd place and can see the leader. So he's made those tyres work for him. Another person that we haven't really covered much is Ting, P944.
Yeah, I've just been
probably
following
one of the
him
greatest sounding cars on the track at the moment. It sounds
100%.
phenomenal.
I've been popping in to check on his progress here and there. He is also on the racing medium tyres, so naturally that pace drop off is there, but I think he's also been hindered by quite a few penalties. I've switched to him a few times and seen a 1.5 second, a 2 second penalty, so just might not be working out for him in terms of the track limits. But where he's sitting from a position-wise is quite interesting because right now Ting is P5 in the championship on 165 points. His closest competitor is Big Rig in 4th on 167 points. So there's 2 points between them. As they currently stand now, if they finish this way, Big Rig will take 4th in the championship by 4 points, sorry. Or 3 points actually, I think my math is correct. But if they swap themselves around and maybe there's a couple of cars between them, that could easily switch who finishes 4th and who finishes 5th in the championship.
Okay, so typically we're racing a 45-minute race. Still with strategies. So the guys are just coming towards the 30-minute mark, which will be the halfway point for this race. So this is where we're going to start seeing the guys' fatigue setting and a bit of a mental strain on, I guess, their gaps. They're going to start will quickly realise that they've lost so much time in the first half of the race. Are they going to be able to claw it back? And you know, their mind's going to start drifting off with just the repetitiveness of the track and the straights being so long that I guess the distraction is going to be quite an easy thing to get the best of you.
Yeah. Might divert your attention to Tex and Pitmaster again battling for second position. Tex and Pitmaster both has penalties, but Tex seemed really adamant on not giving Pitmaster any of that tow. He was defending for his life quite early in the race. They're both going to serve their penalties here. DC actually might come in and seagull and get a few chippies.
Yeah, especially after Pitmaster had to serve a 2.5 second penalty to Aussie Tech's 1.5 second penalty.
Yeah, I
and
think
he
this
has
is when
done so.
Yes, this is where we'll start to see some of the pit stops coming into effect. So about 7 laps is the ideal tyre life for the soft compound tyres. So I imagine the likes of Josh and a couple of other runners will be darting into the pits this lap.
So jumping on board with Josh at the moment, right at the pit entry, he has chosen to do another lap.
It's going around again. Alright, he's made the first call. He seems comfortable on these tyres. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how that plays out for him.
I thought the McLaren was going to dip in then. He's tricked me and stayed out as well. So Aussie Techs probably would have benefited from taking a pit stop here perhaps, considering that the guys are closing in behind him and they're going to get a tow down the straight. So he might have been better off not giving them the pull along and throwing it in the pits. As he makes a mistake and recovers. He recovered it nicely, but he's handed the place over to Rubber Duck. He's going to fight for it. This is going to cost these guys time. If Josh could see this, he'd be smiling from ear to ear.
I think Josh will see it with the time difference between himself and second position.
Aussie Tech's pissed for another penalty. So far here, we've had more penalties per lap than clean laps.
More penalties than the entire season, if I'm completely honest with you. This track is just a nightmare for in-game penalties. But
we're looking at a 3-wide situation here with Aussie Tech's Pitmaster and Rubber Ducky. Rubber Ducky's pulled right out of it. He wants no part of it. As Aussie Techs and Pitmaster go through side by side, Pitmaster has come out on top, ready for the next battle. These guys it's going to be on again in the next chicanes. I don't think Aussie Techs really wants to give it or follow. He really wants to just have that position.
I might not have had my second coffee today, but is this lap 8 or lap 15? Because it looks like they're battling like it's the last lap.
The end of the race.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
They're going side by side, giving each other plenty of room. A little bit of a tap there from Aussie Tex. I don't think that was intentional. He holds off very, very respectfully. Good sportsmanship. And again, like you were saying earlier, Anthony, Josh, who took a bit of a gamble going out again on really worn soft tyres, he must be cheering seeing that delta just growing, probably
Yes.
going, what the hell is going on behind
What
me?
is happening? And as we saw in the horizon just then, Speed Racer and M Sport can see all this going on up ahead, and will be very happy that these guys are fighting because they've been watching that gap come down as well. So already the gap's come down from Aussie Tex to Speed Racer to 5 seconds.
So we have a few people in the chat joining in on the commentary. A couple of Josh supporters, so thank you for sharing your support. And one question from Yato saying, can I join these races? Yes, you absolutely can. If you look us up on Facebook under Apex Point Racing League or on Discord, that's where you can join in the community and find out more about all these races.
You could also go to the link in the description, or if you don't see it in the description, on the profile for the YouTube channel that you're on, you'll see a link to the Discord.
Yes, that's correct. Text drops off a little bit behind P2 and P3 just with that penalty. It'd be interesting to see if the medium runners come in at all, because it seems like their pace hasn't been too bad, but Josh definitely has to consider pitting this lap. He's got no fuel. I think they all have to come in because of fuel, potentially.
The 30-minute mark.
Tex gets a good run out of the Porsche curves as DC runs a bit wide, but you got to go single file into the pits, gentlemen. And Tex knows that. He slots in right behind him.
They've stayed out the Rubber Duck and Aussie Tex.
Interesting, okay. This is
Must
working
come
out.
in with 11% fuel. He's got a bit of advantage over Josh, but like we were saying earlier on, for the guys that missed it, who have just joined in the stream, the fuel rate refill, the refill rate is very quick, so there's not much benefit to the fuel save for these guys at this point of the race. So Pitmaster, although has more fuel, won't see much of an advantage from it.
Yeah, you can essentially put about 80 litres of fuel in the tank in 10 seconds, so it's very, very quick. So you won't be in there for that long. And Brabo is still a mile off catching up with them, unfortunately. The one stop may not be the winner, but you never know what can happen here. They're all not putting in 100% of fuel, so they're obviously doing their calculations. Pitmaster's coming out nice and close to Ting. Does the good thing and was just aware of his space and let Ting through, but I think Pitmaster should be able to jump in pretty easily.
So Pitmaster now, I assume, will be running the soft tyre compound.
Yes, that's correct. So we have Josh that has switched to the mediums, and in between them is obviously Ting. He's still running on his initial set of tyres, but Pitmaster is just behind him. So between Josh and Pitmaster, there's about 8.7 seconds, and at about 1 to 2 seconds quicker a lap on the soft compound tyre, I think Pitmaster might be in contention to catch up to Josh towards the end of the race.
So Pitmaster has closed the gap in that pit stop time frame from 12 seconds. My understanding was, unless Josh has had to serve some penalty on the in-lap.
No, not at this stage. I think there just may be that overall pace, and also he's getting the benefit of the slipstream behind Ting thing at the moment compared to Josh, who's just punching a hole in the air by himself. So so we'll just have to see how that goes. Josh does have a 1 second penalty, which will close that gap even further.
I have to say, Pitmaster is looking very strong at the moment. If he can just focus on copping those penalties, he might be on for a fight for the first place.
I've been advised not to commentate on Pitmaster tonight due to the curse of the commentator. So we'll just see how that fares. As Nos Racing jumps in the chat. Hello, mate. Welcome.
Hello, Nos Racing. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining in.
You've come in at the spicy part of the race as pit stops are happening, and people are changing tyres. So it's going to be interesting to see how this ends up.
So we've had a bit of an auto reshuffle at the moment, which will balance itself out over the next couple of laps while we see these strategies play out.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tex and Big Rig lose even more time this lap, because looking at their fuel gauge, it's looking real sad. It's
Okay.
it's cutting it close.
Okay, so in comparison to Rubber Duck, how's Big Rig's fuel looking?
So Big Rig has probably got like less than 10% left. I think even probably 7 at this stage. Tex is about the same. Whereas DC, he's got at least like maybe 10% left, I think, like easily. He's got a nice healthy bar there. I think those boys will make it, but it'll be cutting it close.
So, not saying that he's looking or planning on joining the series next season. It'd be probably good for you to be looking at probably at the Wednesday Night Pro Series.
Yeah, so this is the last round for this season, so round 8. We usually have about a 3-week off season, and then we kick into gear shortly after that, so that'll be around the first week of September. Look at that fuel difference. So essentially what DC has done there, as he has 8% fuel compared to Texas 1%, as, by the way, Big Rig has run out of fuel, so he's coasting into the pits there.
Yeah,
so
I just saw something that I wasn't sure what was happening. It looked like he tried to turn to the pits early.
So they've run out of fuel and coasted in Tex and Big Rig. DC has 7% on them. So essentially he's going to pull just under a second gap over them just from refueling, because it's 8 litres per second.
So Josh has just crossed the start-finish line. The guys are refueling. He's going to be clear with no issues. And Pitmaster's going to come out, and this will be interesting as Rubber Duck drives out the pits, and as we watch this gap close down. So these two will be back fighting again, which is what we were witnessing prior to the pit stops.
Looks like everyone's come out of the pits pretty cleanly. Big Rig taking a massive hit with that lack of fuel, rolling into the pits. He's now sitting in P7. Looks like everyone is putting on their fresh set of boots. Ting is putting on soft tyres and refueling. Daywalker's already done their pit, and Brabo is still chilling at the back doing the one stop, but as Daywalker in 10th has already done their pit stop, I think Brabo's going to have to settle for a provisional 11th position in this lobby.
So on a team's perspective, Big Rig finishing so far down the order really puts a lot of pressure on myself for the Pro Series, being that only the best scoring points from this series will be utilised for the team's score, along with the best 2 scores in the Group 3 series gets utilised for the points. So if you've got a team of 3, you can only have a team of 3. The 2 best scores in the Group 3 series are utilised for the team's championship. So Big Rig being down the order puts the pressure for me to perform well on the Wednesday night, which we are having a bit of a close one in the team's championship with Leviathan Racing Crew.
That's right.
Meaning that we need to perform pretty well as a team this week to lock that away. Leviathan Racing
LRC for short.
LRC have been really strong throughout the season. Based on where Clarkey finishes in Lobby B, he might be doing better than Big Rig. So I just don't know at this stage.
I hope you guys can hear that, Team Big DC's commentators encouraging you to go hard. But I don't think it's too bad for them at the moment. Looks like we've got DC in second, but then again, DC might have had a little bit of a moment, because Pitmaster's pulled him down to within 7 tenths, and he's on track to even go better on this lap.
So he's going to be looking to get within the slipstream, which I believe to be 750, 0.750.
Yeah, you still get benefits from about that 1 second mark, but not as strong as if you're within the 0.75 range. So yeah, Pitmaster's not too far off that at the moment.
So the person who's benefited most from Big Rig dropping down to 7th place would have been Ting, P944. However, he himself has found himself down in 9th place with quite a large gap formed as well. So he must be having trouble with his car. I know the guys, both the NRG racing team did say that since the latest physics update, they were having trouble with the NSX.
Yeah, it was previously a really strong car on these sort of like long straights,
Yes.
but now it just seems to be struggling a little bit. But I think everyone's struggling at the moment with their own battles, just trying to get by without getting caught out by any of the penalties. We've even seen, as we jump back to Daywalker, sitting in 10th position. Daywalker was a really strong runner at the start of the season, had a really good race at Blue Moon Bay, so there's definitely that ability to contend for the top positions there, but may have been caught out unlucky by a couple of penalties, as he's got a 1.5 second penalty himself at the moment. But yeah, his lap times have been a little bit inconsistent, so just maybe just one of those nights where things aren't working out.
And his livery there looking like a tradesman's breakfast. a dare coffee up high.
That's exactly right, yeah. With the coffee beans on the rear end of the car. I didn't only actually notice that now. I do like that.
Yeah.
But
No,
speaking of liveries on Porsches, Brabo having a good little time by himself back here. It was a good idea, but unfortunately it may not have been the right idea. He's lapping at about 4 minute 10s, 4 minutes 11s. So potentially he may have miscalculated the fuel map he needed to use, because his first laps were in the 4 minute 20s, even 4 minutes 40 for lap 1. So maybe if that mix was right from the start, he could have been a little bit closer to Daywalker. Anyways, who could know?
Yeah, that's what it is. I think he's overdone it. He's obviously made an adjustment to the car and is lapping quicker now, but I don't think it's going to be enough to close in a minute gap.
No, I don't think so either. Looks like Pitmaster's gotten the move done on DC. They are ahead. Well, he is ahead, sorry, but DC does have a half-second time penalty.
So if he just stays close here now, it will be he'll be pulled along and it will fix itself up, but he has to stay close here. So rather than looking for the attack, he's probably better off just trying to get behind him here as close as possible.
Pitmaster is almost 7/10 up on his personal best, which is also the fastest lap. So he's probably taken a little bit of a benefit of the slipstream down the Mulsanne behind DC. Now he's got clear air and fresh tyres until the end of this lap. He should be able to put even more of a stranglehold on that fastest lap.
Yeah, so the gap, as you can see, is really being eaten away from Josh. It was at its maximum from memory about 12 seconds before the pitting window. So we've seen in just a few laps here the gap being eaten alive, essentially. And
in one corner just then, Pitmaster pulled 4/10 of a second on him.
Yeah, so what we're going to see here is Josh going to get nervous. So he's just going to keep his head down and try and keep the car going in the right direction. Watch those penalties. And Pitmaster needs to understand that he's going to catch him. It's the long laps, so he'll be now noting to himself, I'm on lap 12 or 15. I've only got a few laps to get this done. But a few laps, is 15 minutes of time. So he's got plenty of time, just not many laps. So hopefully he understands that, you know, he's looking at 4 minutes a lap. So plenty of time to get this done.
Pitmaster's really pushing hard on those soft compound tyres. You can hear them just protesting almost in every long sweeping turn, and you can see it in the difference in tyre wear between Pitmaster and DC. His tyre wear is almost double compared to DC, so could be a question as to whether Pitmaster, is he using too much or is DC not using enough? There are only well, after this lap, 3 laps to go, so there's not a lot of time left on them.
So I haven't driven the BMW, but is Pitmaster driving the car to its strengths, knowing the fact that his tyres are going to drop off before the Genesis? He really needs to maximise the good, I guess, the honeymoon period of his soft tyres, whereas what we might see is DC just get a bit of a longer period of time, maybe a bit slower lap times, but a longer period of time of maximising those softs. So that might be the difference between these two cars.
Yeah, essentially, Pitmaster looks like he's setting qualifying time laps, whereas DC is setting more conservative race pace laps. I think DC's, I mean, will be interesting to hear from him after the race, but it'd be a great frame of mind to have of, you know, I know where I am in this championship, I know what I need to do to secure the championship, I'm not going to drive myself over the edge to make that happen. Correct. So that could be what's going on in DC's head, whereas Pitmaster, he's had some consistent and also inconsistent results, and he's sniffing at the opportunity of a race win here, and if I'm not mistaken, this would be his first race win of the season, if not in APRL history, if I'm not wrong. So he will be throwing all caution to the wind and just going for it, I imagine.
Yeah, and getting that fastest lap, getting that extra point, because he is actually on the leaderboard chasing Aussie Tex for five points. So he needs 5 points to jump or leapfrog Aussie Tex, or to be even with Aussie Tex actually needs 5 points. So
if there's 5 points between them at the moment, hypothetically, if Pitmaster does get into first position and keeps the fastest lap, he will jump Tex in the positions.
If Tex doesn't promote himself into third place.
That's right. He does have a 1 second penalty to his name. Yeah,
so Tex has shown great pace in this race. Been quite impressed with his drive. His just consistency has let him down, which is easy to do in this race, as we've noted earlier on. The penalties here are quite harsh.
Josh has gone wide, and Pitmaster's got the move done. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, great. I did miss that. I've just jumped on board with him now.
Josh cut the corner a little bit too generously, picked up some dirty tyres, ran wide, and Pitmaster just swept around the outside, and there was great racing room between them both. So now it's up to Pitmaster to run away with it.
So I'd say at this point in time, Josh would be like, come on, where's the end of this race? Because he's had such a strong beginning. I think we've seen that I'm assuming running on the mediums, yes, for his final stint.
Correct,
to get his compulsory tyre stint completed. This is what looks to be the weak part of his strategy.
And as we were just discussing about DC earlier, in terms of that level-headedness and knowing what you need to do to secure the series, he's actually decided, no, I'm not going to be a slouch. He's pulled out a 3:58.2 that previous lap, which is only 0.3 off Pitmaster's time. So this ain't over. There's 3 laps to go. The top 3 are within 3 seconds of each other. This is not over. And I know I keep rambling on, but I have one more thing to add. Speed Racer is hanging on nicely to the back of M Sports 180, who's had a hell of a race. He's actually on the medium tyres M Sports, and whereas Speed Racer's on the soft tyre, with a penalty unfortunately as well. But Speed Racer's just been trying to chip away and hold on to that 5th position, because if he secures outright P5 and he's second in the championship, depending on where Josh finishes, he may end up holding that second outright championship position.
Yes, right. So if Robert Duck gets this done on Josh, it's going to only play well in. It's also going to play well into the hands of Speed Racer. So
100%.
Speed Racer's looking to get to 5th place. Robert Duck's going to be looking to get to 2nd place. It's not looking good for Josh at the moment, unfortunately.
I mean, it was always going to be a bit of a battle for Josh to take out the championship. Same with Speed Racer, as well as he sends it up on the inside of M Sports 180. So the way that...
see the smoke coming off the tyres under braking there, it's just insane.
So if Speed Racer wants to hold on to second outright in the championship, he needs to outscore Josh by at least 4 points. And I think based on where he currently is, it may not be enough. I'll just quickly double check and confirm that, because if Josh has moved down to 3rd actually, so DC's got the move done on him.
I've just watched these boys. Speed Racer and M Sport both made a mistake into that corner. I think M Sport really played that very well. Even though he overshot the corner, he stuck the nose out. He pulled out of the slipstream, let Josh know, hey, I'm thinking about it, mate. Put it into Speed Racer's head.
Oh, yep.
And they've both made a mistake, and Speed Racer's made the bigger mistake by over-rotating and hitting the wall.
A little bit of mind games going on, and more mind games happening in P2 as DC, who just got past Josh, now has a 1 second penalty. But he'll have to serve it next lap, so he's got about 5 minutes worth of track time on softer compound tyres to just boogie off down on the road. But as long as Pitmaster keeps his car facing forward, that'll help him out immensely.
Yeah, I think Pitmaster should be just trying to focus on getting to the end. Going back to what you were saying before, his tyres are looking worse than DC, so DC has a tyre advantage. DC is Robert Duck is under attack from Josh. I don't think Josh is going to have enough on those tyres to catch him. So Robert Duck has a couple of things on his mind here. That is, he needs to gap Josh before this on straight, and he wants to try and close on that gap before he's serving this 1 second penalty.
It's official, we have a Mulsanne-sized gap between AU Brabo and Dave Walker. Just confirmed that on the previous lap, so Unfortunately, I was saying the one stop wasn't going to work, but I actually don't think... I think Brabo has actually abandoned the one stop.
Of it, has he?
Yes, he has. He's got fresh soft compound tyres on, so he's abandoned the idea of that, and he's just going to run the soft compound all the way to the finish. And how are some of the other drivers tracking? So we've still got M Sports and Speed Racer pretty close to one another. Seems like they both had that penalty and both had that that off, which still brought them close together. So we've got Ting as well, who's just passing the start finish line onto lap 14. So 2 laps to go for Ting.
For only for 5.5 second gap to Raz, so it's not over for him. He still has a position he could make up.
Raz is on the mediums and Ting is on the softs.
Yep.
So that could be something interesting towards the end of the race.
I think Big Rig is just going to have to settle in for the 7th place. Speed Racer, being one of the quickest drivers in the series, all bar a mistake, should be able to, he has a 1 second penalty. So M Sports is going to pull away at the penalty line. Speed Racer needs to get closer, as close as he can before he needs to serve that.
Now, interestingly, we were talking about tyre wear between Pitmaster and DC, or Rubber Ducky, as we swap between his names quite a lot early on. They're actually not too dissimilar. At the start
Okay.
of the stint, they were coming apart, like pretty. Their differences were pretty clear, but now there's not much in it. Definitely, Pitmaster is using more of the tires, but I think they'll both start to hit that crossover period where they just start to
Yep.
lose their sparkle at the same time. So, if anything, this 1 second penalty that DC has couldn't have come at a better time for Pitmaster. Well, I mean, the ultimate time would have been lap 15, but lap 14 is still pretty good for him. He just
Yes.
needs to keep his nose clean.
As we watch Rubber Duck go around the final corner before the pit lane, for the penalty line, sorry, as he surfaces off the racing line, and we'll see Josh close that gap again.
Josh had a half-second penalty as well, so he won't close that down as much as we would like. Is everyone else sort of still...
So they're spread out now. They're a bit spread out now at the front of the grid. Aussie Tex looks like he has accepted defeat and he's just going to try and lap clean for the remainder of the race, and manage the gap to M Sport, who should be trying to lap as fast as he can to get away from Speed Race. Speed Race's gap between those two now is 5 seconds. So they went from fighting for position to now he's under threat from Big Rig.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So this is going to be pretty detrimental to his campaign here for Speed Racer, that is. Being that we already covered off the point difference between Josh and Speed Racer. So Big Rig coming up behind him now, especially with those long legs, and one more lap to go, he's got to weigh heavy on his mind.
100%. So we actually start the final lap of the race. So Pitmaster has a 3.3 second gap to Rubber Ducky in second. Josh has a 1.8, 1.9 now, second to Rubber Ducky in P3. So again, the top three are only within 6 seconds of one another.
So on the final lap for the leaders now, as we will just monitor these split times down the Mulsanne straight. This is where the Genesis should really come alive, and I don't think the Porsche is going to have enough.
The Porsche actually isn't too much of a slouch in a straight line. We'll just compare some top speeds. So the Genesis got up to 285 down the Mulsanne, and the Porsche was at 283. So not too far off. Yeah, not too bad. I think the main thing this lap is going to be no penalties, and whoever does get a penalty, that could really alter the final course of this race. But how good is this? P1 to P6 are all on the Mulsanne straight within the chicanes. That's impressive after almost an hour's worth of racing.
Yes. Especially from what we usually see in the development series, in the 45-minute races are big gaps, and they form pretty early on in the race. It just goes to show that these guys are learning throughout the series, and they're improving their pace and their racecraft.
Exactly right, and you can see it just in the different contenders we have at the top of the leaderboards week to week and even race to race in terms of different drivers. But I might divert your attention just very briefly to Speed Racer. Big Rig's gotten the move done on him. So Big Rig has jumped Speed Racer. If anything, that plays well into Josh's hands of securing P2 in the championship. But we'll jump back to the top three here, maybe stay on Pitmaster, because it's going to get close right to the finish.
So he's just holding that 2 second gap from Robert Ducky at the moment, which is quite comfortable at this later stage of the race. So if he can just keep his head down and not make a mistake, I think he'll have this done and dusted. He needs to also make sure going into those last final chicanes, where it is quite easy to overdo it and pick up a penalty, that he doesn't do that right before the line and get extra
Yeah.
Extra penalty time.
He did overdo it just into that 90-degree right-hander. The tyres are definitely hurting. If I was that driver of that car, I'd be a little bit concerned about my grip levels at the moment. And that just goes to show he's lost half a second on DC. That gap is quickly closing down. It was 1.9 only a couple of turns ago. It's now 1.4. The goal here is to just keep your cool head. Don't worry about the tyres screaming. Just keep them together and keep it pointed in the straight
As he touches
line.
the grass.
It's going to be close. Let's just hold our breath and wait and see. No commentator's curse here. Heading into the chicane for the final time.
He's done it quite conservatively.
Within the track limits, yes. And he's done it. Pitmaster, P1, 60 minutes at Le Mans. Excellent work, mate.
As they both celebrate with some lights flashing.
Same with Josh as well. I think he's chuffed for a podium finish as Tex passes the line as well with barely any fuel left, but obviously well managed there. Then coming across in fifth is M Sports 180. And then behind them, Big Rig fending off Speed Racer. They're going to go to the line here.
Oh, very close. Look at that gap.
That is very, very close between the two of them. It's actually 0.049 seconds.
Insane.
So less than half a tenth between them. As we come back to Raz, looks like he was able to hold on with those mediums and not let Ting get to him in P9. So good work, Raz, holding on to P8 there, getting the job done within a minute of the leaders.
Great effort, solid drive.
Good work, Ting. P9 for Mr. P9 himself. Funny that. And then we have Day Walker navigating through the final chicanes at the moment on the racing soft tyres. Great job, mate. Obviously, these results will still need to be combined with the second lobby to see where everyone ends up.
Yes.
And I think we're going to have to let this one fan out because, in actual fact, I don't think AU Bravo will finish because he's got very, very low fuel.
Right, so the issue is going to be for him that if someone else is in a similar situation in Lobby B, he needs to make up as much track position as he can, because I will take his total time from when the game or the session ends to where he actually finishes, because in the other lobby there might be people getting lapped or people hanging back in the same situation. And it happened last week where I had to determine the last three drivers where exactly they finished, which was a bit of effort. Not impossible, but just a bit of effort to figure it out. And if you think that your race is over at this point in time and just give up, you could be just handing, X amount of positions away unknowingly. Yeah,
and I think Brabo's just run out of fuel there, so it looks like he's going to be coasting all the way to the finish. We'll keep an eye on that delta timer as it ticks up. He's still got a little bit of fuel. Nope, that's all gone now. So right now the difference between Brabo and the finishing line is slowly climbing from 3 minutes 20 to 21, 22. So I think we might just get a quick snapshot of that as the game times itself out any minute there. So around 3 minutes 24 seconds there.
Alright, so I didn't get on that snapshot. Hoping you got a copy of that. But I will save the replay now. And I'll
just taking taking a little snippet of that. And I'm also screenshotting the results. But I'll let you run through those.
Yep.
And then I might... I'll leave you... Actually, no, I'll stay here while you guys do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in first place with Pitmaster with an incredible drive. So he actually got a number of passes done to achieve this. Rubber Duck, who was the favourite for this race, in second place, and quite confidently, I'd say, has locked away the championship. Josh in the Porsche, so 3 different cars on the podium. So Josh in third place here with a great drive. He led the majority of the race, so he has to be happy with that performance. Aussie Tex to the McLaren, who was fighting with the guys in the larger cars for quite some time. Just went on to have a few mistakes, which cost him in the end. I think what would have paid him or served him better would have been to try and work in with those with the BMW and the Genesis to get the advantage over Josh, who he didn't really finish that far behind in any case. Fifth place goes to M Sport in another Porsche here. Incredible drive. He was having a battle for a large amount of time there at the end with Speed Racer. He's managed to get the best of Speed Racer. It was quite an incredible move. Looking like he dummy made it move, pulled it back in. He was never going to make the move. He overshot the corner, but he's definitely got in the head of Speed Racer, who in turn overshot the corner and over-rotated the car. Which is also paid to Big Rig to get to sixth place. He's quite luckily with the smallest gap to clinch that sixth place to Speed Racer in seventh place, who also had a very unlucky race, I'd say, and ultimately has lost his second position on the championship. Razmaz in eighth place. I don't think we gave too much coverage for Razmaz. It looked like he was out there on his own for a lot of the time, but a solid drive nonetheless. To Ting in the NSX, a car that looks like it's only been negatively impacted since the latest physics update. And then the following three Porsches. We got Day Walker finishing in front of Bravo. Bravo running out of fuel alternately, with unfortunately DNF from Dugong with some technical issues. So that will be a technical DNF. So essentially he'll probably finish in 22nd position.
Yes, yeah, and I think obviously those positions are provisional based on this lobby, but I've had a quick check with the other lobby to see how the results panned out. So the top time from lobby B was at 1 hour 1 second. Sorry, that's 1 hour 1 minute and 8 second. Whereas the top time here was a 1 hour 1 minute and 5 seconds. So what that means is Pitmaster is P1 outright, followed by Rubber Ducky P2 outright. Then it will go to Red Bearsy over in lobby B for the final podium position, and then Josh will take P4 and then Tex P5 before the lobbies start to merge time. So congratulations Pitmaster, outright P1, well done.
Well
and
done.
A big congratulations to DC as well for taking out the development series title for season 3. Well deserved, solid result from season 2 where he finished second behind Bowers, and now he will be kicking it in the big leagues with the pros from season 4 onwards.
And we can only welcome him. I think he's going to do very well there. It does mean that the team will be disbanded, as you can't have two pros in the same team. So being that he is the team owner, I'm looking for a new team. But also on that note, just circling back to the leaderboard discussion there, so Josh has dropped down to 4th place, has he? I thought it may have held on to the 3rd place.
No, unfortunately, in this, that's not championship. That's just for this race.
For this race, yeah,
results,
right.
Yeah. I believe Josh would have secured P2 in the championship outright.
Excellent. And fastest lap time for the other lobby?
Fastest lap time for the other lobby is, drumroll, let's have a look. It was done by Red Bearsy, a 4 minute .186. So fastest lap also goes to Pitmaster.
So quite a big difference in the pace of the two lobbies, as you would expect. But awesome drive by the guys nonetheless, and for Bezzi to get it up onto the podium from lobby two is fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, we'll end it there, and thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe. We have started up another channel, guys, as well, an official Apex channel, which we're just working out getting our equipment synced with. But once we've got that going live, we'll let you guys know. And we'll be streaming from, well, these kind of streams will be happening in that location when we do so. And I will continue to stream POV streams and continue to chat along with you guys where I can in those races. That went pretty well at Monza last week. So thank you guys for the support, and thank you, Snoopy, for helping out with the commentating. It's always a pleasure and great fun.
Always happy to be here and happy to have people viewing and enjoying these live streams. So we look forward to sharing more of them in the future. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.